Dreamscape presents The Asylum, a breathtaking psychological suspense thriller by Debra Meller, narrated by Melanie Carey. Prologue. Nothing about this place was familiar. Not the room, nor the constant noise that filled the hallways with echoes of despair. Patty struggled to remember how she got there, as fear and anxiety filled her head with all kinds of different scenarios, each one much worse than the last. The lighting above her was very bright, and she could hardly make out the man's face that was standing over her. She could see that his lips were moving, but she couldn't understand a word he was saying. Patty tried to push his hands away as he was placing the electrodes to her temples, but her hands were tied down beside her. Suddenly, she felt a surge of electricity enter her body. Pain exploded in every fiber of her being as her body arched, and soon after, she began to convulse. Everything went dark, and when she finally awoke, several hours later, she had no concept of time or place. As she lay in an unfamiliar bed, desperately trying to remove her hands from the restraints, she prayed she would wake up from this nightmare. Sometime later, maybe days, she found herself back in the room that she shared with 3 other strangers. Patty tried to focus on her surroundings and figure out who these people were, but no one seemed familiar. Right across from her was a frail old woman, sitting on the edge of her bed, picking scabs off her skin. The old woman smiled at Patty as she continued picking at her skin until it bled. The 2 other women in her room were screaming at each other. They were fighting over an old blanket that they both claimed ownership of. Down the hall, Patty could hear someone else screaming. The sounds were now so overwhelming and frightening that she put her pillow over her head to drown them out. After a while, Patty tried to get out of bed to use the chamber pot that sat in the corner of the room. A torn curtain draped around it did nothing to give anyone privacy. As much as she tried to stand, her legs wouldn't carry her, and she fell back into her bed. Patty had no recollection of being paralyzed from the waist down 2 years earlier. It was as if this painful time in her life had been completely erased from her memory. Feeling frightened, she called out, "Help me, someone!"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?